Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Dan Teal has spent his career in the commercial clothing industry. The first couple of decades, he led American factories, but spent the last 20 years as a consultant to the industry. That's a fancy way of saying that companies hired Dan to shut down their U.S. factories and be the guy who lays off American workers.
These are the people that paid my salary. These are the people that took care of me. And to have to go in and say, this is no longer going to be here. And it's not because you're not doing the job. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's not because you've created a bad situation.
Every factory he'd helped close was a factory he'd never get the chance to help thrive.
Do you feel like a bad guy? Yeah. Is it depressing? Yes. And do they turn around and ask you why and you don't have an answer? Sure. I mean, those things are things you don't look back on and say, I wish I hadn't had to go through that.
But Dan got a call from the clothing maker Brooks Brothers. It owned a 50-plus-year-old sewing plant in Garland, North Carolina, and they wanted Dan to lead it. But this time, Dan wouldn't be charged with preparing for a factory shutdown. He was challenged to do what he loved, operate a U.S. sewing plant.
They asked me if I wanted a real job again and an opportunity to do this again. I never thought I'd have that.
The factory that is giving Dan his chance to maintain a U.S.-based sewing operation is an oasis for longtime local employees who've watched jobs just like theirs vanish.
If you lose your job here or you quit here, you ain't gonna get another job like this because there's not no more sewing rooms around here. There's just, and if they are, they don't last very long.
Given a new challenge and a sewing team that has survived globalization, Dan launched a new vision to change the factory's management style and perceptions that are held by employees about their sewing careers.
It's like you weren't smart, if you weren't in a sewing factory, you weren't smart, you couldn't do anything else.
It hits us when we come in the door. Even before we hit the time clock, it's like, okay, we're here. You know what we're here for.
The whole idea in previous years, you tell them what to do, how to do, and when to do it. What we want to do now is to back up and have them ask them, how do you think we should do it? What would be the best way to make this happen?
Sewing operators traditionally worry only about their part of the assembly line. The more they produce, the more they earn. Dan has turned that culture upside down. He wants employees to team and worry about the finished product. The more the team works together, the more money everyone makes.
It's real easy to buck against it at first, but then after they explain it to us and we start understanding that might be a better way of doing things, then we sit back and we say, okay, show us.
And these ladies, you'll see them get up and move.
So Dan showed them by listening.
Part of the process of being on teams is not waiting for somebody to tell you, you're through with this job, you need to go help someone at this other job, or this is your second job you need to do.
I have sewn for over 30 years. Over 30 years, and mostly it was just sewing for myself to make my own paycheck. Now, when we start working together, we start looking around and seeing, okay, who's missing out of our team?
They know that that product has their name on it as such. Their team is responsible for that.
You can come in here and actually make a difference. You can come in here and actually work your way up and be promoted. You have a chance to advance. Back then, you were a sewing operator all your life.
The Garland shirt team is beginning to think that ownership factory culture might be what helps them compete best against their foreign competition.
We're going to make it or break it. And I think these people here knows there's nowhere else to go. And I think eventually they'll all work together as teams and we'll stay here for a long time.
The groups now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I like it. It's better. Everybody working, looking for more work.
Brooks Brothers, who owns us, has confidence in us. A few years ago, they had a choice. They could have just shut us down and threw us to the wayside and sent everything overseas, but they chose not to.
The difference in going in and having to close the plant versus coming in here and to be able to reorganize and continue to do what this plant company wants to do and do it in a way that's going to take us forward and actually grow this business, that's exciting. That's something I never thought I'd get a chance to do.